everyone, welcome back. This is Terry at terryscraftroom.com. Today we're going to make this really cute Halloween card, and I call it the triple flap gatefold card. And I got this idea from Dawn Griffith, but I've made some adjustments to the sizes and stuff. So here we go. Let me show you here. So it opens up like this, and then like this. I don't know if I can even get the whole thing on camera. So the stamp sets that we're going to be using today is Frightfully Cute from the August through December 2021 mini. And then we're going to use a couple of the dies, the hat, and the spider web from Frightful Tags dies. Then we're going to use the pumpkin and the face from Cutest Halloween and this Trick or Treat sentiment here. We're going to use the tree here from The Beauty of Friendship, and we're going to use a few of the dies from the Stitched So Sweetly dies. These dies right, these up here are what we're going to use. So let's get started. Your card base is going to be one sheet of basic gray cardstock, and it is 8 by 11. So you're going to cut ½ an inch off of this, and then we're going to score it. And if you miss any of these measurements, go on over to my blog at terryscraftroom.com. I'll put a direct link down in the description box, so you can go straight to this blog post, and you can get the list of supplies and the measurements and the score lines and everything there. So along the 8-inch side, we are going to score at 2 inches and 6 inches, and then turn it. And along the 11-inch side, we're going to score it at 4 inches, 8 inches, and then 8 1/8 inch. So we've got 2 real close together here, and then 1 down here. And so that's what your scoring looks like. And that's all the scoring there is. So we're going to fold and burnish all our score lines. And I put these 2 up here very close together because it'll help it fold better. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we are going to cut off. So we're going to cut off all 4 corners, and we're going to cut away the score line, otherwise it won't lay right. And on here where we've got the 2 lines very close together, these 2 score lines, we're going to cut at the second score line. Let me zoom that in here. So we're going to cut, I don't know if you can see it better on the back here. So here's the first score line, we're going to cut the second score line right here. And be pretty precise with your cutting, because this is the edge of your card, so people will see this. But at this point, I usually fold up my card the way it's going to fold and make sure everything lays nice and flat. Otherwise, this is where you would take a little bit more off of these bottom edges So, because that's where I usually have the biggest trouble with everything laying flat, is down there. So we're good. So the next step is we're going to make this flap. And that is this piece right here. And I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, because it's not just sending it through like normal. We're going to not cut through the whole thing. So I'm going to use this biggest non-rectangular die here. And on the side where we did the 1/8 inch score line, I've got a piece of washi tape here so that my die does not move. And when you put washi tape on, don't put it in the area where you're going to be using. Put the washi tape, the excess, out here where we're not going to be using. So now, to send it through, because I don't want this area down here to cut, so I positioned my die all the way to the top of my paper. Now I'm going to take my top plate and put it right on this second score line. And now I'm going to send it through. And normally I don't show you this part, but since we're doing something a little bit different, I felt like I needed to show it to you. Okay, so when I take my die off, I end up with this, and that's what we want, is that part still attached. So now I'm going to cut this part, the frame, off. And don't worry if you didn't get it quite down far enough, you can always snip down. And there we go. There's our card base. So it's going to close like this, and then like this, and like this. So if you noticed, when I put the die on, I turned my card base upside down so that the stitching is on the outside. Okay, so now we can start making our insides. So we're going to start the sponging and stuff and making our insides of our card and decorating it. So we need 2 pieces of basic white that are 3.5 inches squared. And we need 4 pieces of basic white that are 1.5 by 3.5. So if you go over to my website, while you're over there, sign up for my newsletter. I'm currently in the 12 weeks of Christmas, and so you'll be getting not only my weekly newsletter, but the next 12 weeks started today, actually. I'll be sending out projects for Christmas. So what I did was, this is a 1 1/4 inch circle. I cut it out of a sticky note, post-it note, and I'm just putting it on my upper. This is how the inside of my card is, and these are the outside pieces. So, and then I also, out of that same Stitch So Sweetly, I cut these out. So I'm gonna sponge this while I'm at it. So let me get a piece of scrap paper, because sponging is, and I'm using Daffodil Delight for this one, and then I will go over it with pumpkin pie. And anytime you sponge, you want to start off your page, because if you start right on your page, you're going to get, it's not going to be an even coverage. You're going to get splotches, and we don't want splotches. Okay, so I did the whole thing in Daffodil Delight. Now I'm going to take the pumpkin pie and I'm going to just do the edges. And that's the look I'm going for. And I'm going to go do all these other pieces. I've got 2, 4, 5, 6 more pieces to do, and then I'll be back. Okay, so here we are with my 4 side pieces and my 2 center pieces, and then this is the first piece we did. So what I'm going to do with this one, this is the moon, so I need to take that off. And what I kind of like to do is that, and these 2 are my outside pieces, so I'm going to set those aside. So this is my inside of my card, and what I'm going to do is, my first thing is I'm going to place my witch. And I want her flying kind of over the moon. Just like that. Now, the other piece that I didn't show you when we started was, I'm going to use, out of the Merry Snowflakes, this piece, this stamp right here, and I'm going to make that a swirling wind behind my witch, like that. Okay, and then I have the trees from the Beauty of the Earth mounted, and since these are photopolymer, I'm going to stick this under here. I want a tree on each side. There. And I'm going to put a tree underneath her so she's flying over the trees. And then a tree on this side as well. Okay. And then I'm going to put a pumpkin down here on the bottom. In fact, I'm going to put 3 pumpkins down here. And then we'll take the pumpkin pie and let's see which way this goes. Color our pumpkins with our stamp. And the last thing on the inside, we need to put faces on our pumpkins. There. Okay, so here's the inside. I'll set that aside. we need our 2 outside pieces, and I cut the spider web I die cut the spider web, so I'm going to cut this spider web in half, and half will go on each one of these pieces here. And oh wait, forgot, we need some bats. Always have to have bats. Let's put some bats. And a couple of bats. A bat here, and a bat there. There we go. Maybe one more bat. Where should I put one more bat? Maybe here. There. Okay. So we have bats. Set those aside. So we need our sentiment here, which is right here. So I'm just going to put that in the middle right there. There's our trick or treat. And then I want a spider. Oh, down here. And down here. Okay. So we're going to glue this piece down. And then glue this piece down. And I'm going to line them up so that my spider web lines up when the card is closed. And I don't want my spider just hanging out there, so I'm going to take a black pen and make his web. Just like that. Okay, so now we have all our pieces decorated. Now I've got 6 pieces, and not 6 pieces. Here they are. Okay, so I've got 3 pieces of basic black that are 3 3/4 squared, and you can see this one is one that I cut the spider web out, and a hat. It's here somewhere. Here it is. Okay, but it doesn't matter because we're going to cover that up. These are just mats. And then I've got 4 pieces that are 1 3/4 by 3 3/4. 3, 4. So I'm going to put these on their respective mats, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so we've got all our inner pieces matted, and now we can start putting them on our card base. So I've got, this one's going to go here, this one here, this one here, and this one here. Okay, so there's our inside of our card. Now the outside, this is going to be just the plain black. That's what that 3rd piece of basic black is for. And so even if you're cutting out your die cuts and stuff from the other 2, you want to make sure that one of them you don't cut anything out of, because it's going to be seen. Okay, so now we need these pieces here. Go here. Okay, so then all we have to do is to decorate our front flap here. So out of that same Stitch So Sweetly, I cut the one that was in between these two. And the one thing you do have to do is, since we have this 1/8 inch and we didn't cut all the way to the end, in order to make this fit right, you need to cut just a little bit off up there. And I'm just going to cut about that much. And now it fits fine on there. So I'm going to glue this piece on, making sure the part that I cut off is up here, like that. And then I'm going to glue the Trick or Treat on. And that you don't have to cut anything off. Now, the hat, I want to kind of accent this little band on the hat here and the buckle. So I just did that. And I'm just going to glue this down. And you notice I'm not using dimensionals on any of this because this card is going to be thick enough. And there's the hat. And now the last thing I'm going to do is I've got a little piece of baker's twine here, about 8 inches. Now I'm going to make a bow. And cut my tails off. And I'm going to put the bow right there. Get a glue dot. And with baker's twine, even if your glue dot's a little big, you can roll it up into a little roll, and then it'll be the perfect size. And there's our card. Isn't that an adorable Halloween card? I just love it. I hope you've enjoyed this project today. It's been wonderful to have you here. Please subscribe and hit that like button so that you don't miss any of my new videos. And we'll see you next time. Bye!